It's the Selling for Life podcast.
If you're buying, we're selling.
Here's your three-headed monster, Steve, Big Al, and Kevin. All right, and welcome to another installment of the Selling for Life podcast, sponsored by ConEquip Parts, a world of parts with a personal touch. This podcast is about more than just selling stuff. We think if you stick around, you'll get a lot out of it. And if you're buying, we're selling. This is episode 55. I'm Steve, and I'm joined by Kevin. Albert is not here. Not here. You know where he is, Kevin?
Yeah, you just told me a couple minutes ago. I guess he's getting a new hip.
Take a guess. Take a guess what he might be going through at this very moment.
Ooh, maybe he's getting diced up. Cut up on the old cut-in board.
That is just a brutal thought. What they have to do, I've heard. I can't handle surgery stories, or
Ugh.
The blood rushes out of my feet, and
Me too. I'm a wuss when it comes to that.
And it's not the blood or anything. I don't know. It's just kind of the
Knife cutting.
knife thought. But I did hear someone say, and I don't know if it's true. I don't want to find out. But when you have your hip replaced, they basically just cut your leg right at the hip and take that big hunk of leg and just slop it up over your shoulder while they do the work. I've heard of many different things like that. Like when they're doing eye surgery, sometimes they take the eye out and lay it on your cheek.
Ugh.
So
Yeah, it's tough I give those people credit, man.
Well, if we can, we're going to try to get Al on the phone as he's coming out of anesthesia to do part of this podcast, which I think would be very interesting. And it's kind of goes along with the theme of this podcast. But first, do you know what time it is, Kevin?
News headlines.
It's time for news headlines. Kevin, get it started. What do you have?
So you guys know Dale Earnhardt Jr.?
Yes.
Guy's loaded. He's got his own private jet. Mm-hmm. Well, he, probably uses that for transportation more than as much as we use our cars.
Right.
But anyway, so you're bound to run into a mistake, I'm sure, right? Human error, I imagine.
Sure.
But, he was landing in Tennessee. Plane bounced 2 or 3 times and ended up in a fiery crash, pretty much.
I remember that, yep.
Yeah, it just happened recently. They're really still unclear. But when you think about this, he crashed. He had his 1-year-old, his wife, and his dog. Imagine that. I mean, this thing didn't just skid out or something. It was burst into flames and looked pretty mangled up. Imagine trying to land that in that situation with a 1-year-old. Holy cow. But apparently, they kind of just walked away with some bumps and bruises is what they said. I mean, he did say that he has a pretty messed up back from the whole thing, but
Thought for sure, seeing the photo, that it would have been a lot worse than just a few bumps or bruises, but I guess not.
Yeah, crazy.
Did you hear about what San Francisco is going to do? Or what what they're going to do. I assume it's going to happen.
No.
They're changing the language for criminals. They're sanitizing the language. They're going to get rid of words such as offender or addict or convicted felon. And they're going to go with words that are a little less, mean. Convicted felon is going to become justice-involved person.
It's just political correctness out of control. That's when Trump was running for office. He said that's politically correctness out of control. It's just out of control. That sounds like it.
Yep. Instead of felon or an offender, it's going to be changed to formerly incarcerated person.
You got to be kidding me.
Because they didn't really do anything wrong, so why make it seem like they did something wrong? Of course, until those words become attached to the type of people that they're attached to, and then 30 years from now, they'll be like, we got to change this. Justin.
It's got negative connotations. It's like, well, you did a negative thing, so it should.
I know.
I don't get it.
Yes. A juvenile delinquent's going to now be changed to a young person with a justice system involvement. or YPJSI for short.
Man, I'm going to be calling my friends' kids that pretty soon.
And finally, a list came out of the friendliest and rudest cities. Not sure if you saw that by
I didn't.
Big7travel.com. Take a guess on the rudest city in America, according to the survey.
Rudest. I'm just shooting from the hip here. Philly, maybe
Philadelphia.
Philly.
I'm sorry, not city, state.
State.
Rudest state.
Rudest state.
Rudest state.
PA or Massachusetts.
Okay. And the friendliest. What do you think? Well,
Friendliest.
I'll just go to
somewhere down south where they're real slow and they're never in a rush. They're just always happy. Right. Some South Carolina.
Okay. According to this list, rudest state. Well, I'll give you the top 5 or bottom 5 states. Washington State, 46, New Jersey, 47, Massachusetts. You said that. Yeah. 48, Delaware. 49, Arkansas. And the rudest state is New York. Friendliest states. Number 1, what did you say? Oh, you said somewhere down south?
Yeah.
Okay, the friendliest states, the top 5. Wyoming, Texas. Number 3, South Carolina.
Boom.
Number 2, Tennessee. It's kind of like right in the middle. And the friendliest state of all, drum roll please, Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah. Yeah, like Minnesota, yeah.
Canadians. They're like Canadians over there.
Well, anyway, that was kind of a fun little survey. I'm not sure how they base a survey. I don't know if they can just go around and...
Yeah, that's
how do you come up with those, you know?
Well, you know New York, the reason they're on there, it's not because of upstate, because we're great people up here.
Yeah.
Or so we think, but it's from New York City.
Absolutely, the city.
The majority of the population.
I don't think Albany or
New York.
Utica is that great either, but absolutely New York City.
Not that terrible either,
just
though.
ruins it.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's a fun survey, and back to having fun actually brings us to the topic of the day, and the topic of the day is... having fun. Having fun at the workplace, having fun where you are. And Kevin and me, Kevin and me, we're both really perfect for this conversation because we like to have fun.
That we do.
But, you can have fun at work, and fun definitely makes for a better day.
For us, not for the people that were...
But you got to have balance. You have to know when fun is too much fun and when fun is no longer fun, and how to know the difference, because sometimes you can go too far and sometimes, it's just the timing is right. Kevin, tell me about having fun at work. Tell me when well, let's just share some of the stories here of what we do here at ConEquip to our fellow employees.
God, where do you start? It changes daily, for one.
It does.
I mean,
we've got Nerf guns all over the floor here. We pop each other all the time with these things.
I mean, they're not just like little cheap Nerf guns. They're called rival Nerf guns, and they shoot these round balls that, they don't feel good when you get hit in the face.
It's almost as bad as a paintball gun.
It's very similar to a paintball gun. So we're plugging each other in the face. Like you're on the phone with a customer, you might be dealing with a problem, and you're trying to they got you jumping through hoops,
right?
And you're fumbling over your words, and all of a sudden you get blasted in the face with a ball.
That's one thing,
and everybody is laughing at you.
Yeah. Another thing is we have footballs we toss around the office a lot.
Yeah, we got the footballs.
We also do when we've had a number of pranks pulled on each other.
Yeah.
We have a lot of fun. And what do you think, Kevin, is the benefit of doing stuff like that at work?
Well, it keeps people on their toes. They really does keep them on their toes. Yeah. Honestly, when you come to work, it's monotonous. Mm-hmm. It's very redundant, a lot of the stuff we do, and people will get sick of their job if we just came in and just, hey, how was your weekend? How about the weather? It's just crap gets old.
And then you just go right to work. And
yeah.
So having fun at work is definitely benefit. It can keep things light. It can help people just kind of just have those moments where they, what do you call it? They get some energy out.
Yeah. Get some energy out. It gets, I don't know, it wakes them up, in my opinion.
Right.
It wakes them up. And in all honesty, if we didn't work in this kind of environment, we wouldn't sell the way we sell.
You think that's
I truly believe that.
Right. Okay. But of course, there is a fine line between having fun and having too much fun. And pranks especially. I remember I've played a couple pranks on some people. I think you were there when I played a prank on a guy named Mike. And
Oh, yeah.
and he
Yeah,
stormed out of the building because he was mad. And that was not good. And you got to, I mean, there's risk involved. If you're going to play pranks and have fun, you have to assume that some people are not going to take them the right way.
Right.
What are some suggestions, Kevin, to make sure you don't cross the line?
The number one thing you need to know is who you're pranking.
That's right.
Because it can vary from one person to the next. I mean,
Right.
I feel like I can take pranks pretty well. Mm-hmm. And then there's guys that we worked with, like in the past, like you mentioned there, and he's not one to place too many pranks on. He's just not. He's a very serious person.
Right.
Comes probably from a different background, different family,
Right.
different. He was raised differently.
Right.
And you just got to know not to mess with certain people. Right. That's all it comes down to.
You got to gauge. You got to kind of, you kind of start out slow. You start out with small things and see how they react. I just went all in on the first one with him, and it was just so everybody knows what the prank was. I pretended to be one of his customers calling to close a big deal, and so he was super excited because he thought he was going to be, basically paying his rent for the next couple months based on that sale. And then I had to break it to him that it was just me, and then he was really upset.
Awkward.
It was very awkward. So if you're going to prank people or have some fun, start out slow. Definitely don't go after the people that are just sitting there with their, they, like you said, some of them are very serious and all they do is just work, and you could tell right away. Now, another way to gauge whether or not you're going too far with fun is productivity. If productivity is going down, that's not a good thing.
Right.
And so you're going to have to scale back how much fun time you have. And also, of course, you have to be aware of policy. You can't be doing things that are against company policy. There are a number of things that,
yeah. I mean,
you get in trouble.
They're very easy to cross that line too without even realizing it
Right.
with certain people. Because what I say to you, you might be cool with, but if somebody overhears it and they don't like you and I talking that way, they can easily become offended, and then it becomes an issue.
Right. But overall, the lastly I wanted to say is that you got to have some fun wherever you are, working or at home or anything, because you can't take life too seriously. Don't take yourself too seriously.
Nope.
Or else you're just going to end up, a miserable person.
Yeah.
Miserable person.
Agreed.
All right, Kevin, that brings us to our next segment, and that is inspirational message. Take it away, Kev.
Have fun at work. Not too much fun, because somebody might get offended.
Or hurt.
Or killed. You might end up in jail. You might lose your job. You might lose your family.
So if that happens, make sure the prank was worth it.
If you do go big, expect that you may be going home.
That was perfect. All right, well, that does it for the 55th Selling for Life podcast. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Check out our website, sellingforlife.com. Remember, whether you are selling banana peels or you're trying to convince someone that you just played a prank on, you really are sorry. One thing is for sure, you're always selling for life.